What is going on, trainers? DrumVillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and today we're talking about the Halloween Cup in Season 11 of Go Battle League. Now, it is the middle of April, you might be thinking, but they've been cycling through a lot of the older special formats that they've used throughout previous seasons, and honestly, the Halloween Cup, I believe, is one of the stronger, unique formats they've come up with. It's very interesting to play, and it's not dominated by one or two Pokemon in particular. There's quite a lot of variety in what you can run and get away with. So it's a lot more fun to play than some of the more limited metas. Let's just jump in and take a look. For the uninitiated, the types allowed in this format are Bug, Poison, Dark, Fairy and Ghost types, as well as any hybrid types. So Nidoqueen is a ground type, but it's also a poison type, so it's eligible to compete. Azumarill with its water and fairy typing is allowed. So there's a lot of choice in this meta. It's quite a cyclical meta, and what I mean by that is that there isn't one typing in particular that can run away with this cup. There isn't one Pokemon in particular that has just the right combination of typings that can just run over everything else. Everything's got something to be scared of, so it's quite balanced in that sense. Also, if you're not a fan of Trevenant, then rejoice, because Trevenant is not highly rated at all in this meta, with there being dark types, bug types, poison types all over the place. There aren't many things that Trevenant can deal well with in this meta, so it's not a popular choice. You're probably not going to see many, and even if you do, they're going to struggle against a lot of common picks and common teams that are floating around. Also, just quickly wanted to share that I got my Shadow Latias, Shadow Apex Lugia, and my Shadow Apex Ho-Oh, and none of them, well, the Ho-Oh is pretty good, 91%, but the Lugia and the Latias left something to be desired. Don't forget to TM away frustration on your Shadow Pokemon before the event ends tonight at midnight, as of April the 7th. As of midnight, you can't TM frustration away anymore, so you want to do that while you've got chance if there's any Shadow Pokemon you've been wanting to build. I also wanted to quickly show off some of the shiny Pokemon I've been lucky to pick up recently, since I've not really checked in much with you guys apart from the vlog about Liverpool, which if you haven't seen the vlog about the Liverpool regional tournament that I attended a couple of weeks back now, that's up on the channel. Please check it out. It's a fun video. It's a different thing than what I usually do, but if you're interested in seeing what those regionals were like, I do recommend it. And with that said and done, let's take a look at today's team. So on the lead, we're going to have Azumarill, and this is mainly because it pairs well with the Pokemon we want to try in the back, and that's Shiftry. Because Shiftry, I always think it's criminally underrated in the Great League these days. It was used to be a very, very strong meta pick back in the classic days. I love Shiftry and how it plays. Leaf Blade, Foul Play and Snarl is an amazing moveset, so we're wanting to utilise it in the team, and we're going to pair it up with Froslass in the back. So basically we might use either Shiftry or Froslass as a safe swap depending on what kind of lead we run into. Azumarill can take out most of their hardest counters, such as dark types for Froslass or fire types for both of them, or even some rock types like Crustle, and then the other one can hopefully sweep in the back. Now, this isn't a flawless team. It's got some obvious glaring weaknesses, but we did just really want to try out Shiftry, give it a go, and these are the Pokemon I'd lying around built, and I wanted to try this team out, and it actually worked pretty well. If you enjoyed the content, by the way, hit the like and subscribe button, and let's jump into the first matchup. And on the lead, we've got Azumarill against Shadow Scizor, and this is a pretty neutral matchup. You're both hitting each other for neutral damage. Those bullet punches are going to really start adding up over time. If the Shiftry throws Scizor or Night Slash, it's not going to hit you very hard. If you throw Ice Beam, it's still going to do a reasonable chunk, even though it's resisted, because Shadow Scizor is just pretty damn squishy. And since we've built up to a Hydro Pump, we figure just throw the Ice Beam, we'll probably get a shield either way. The only real move Scizor has that you have to worry about is the Iron Head, which we did let through, so we're going to shield this Night Slash just to get one more move off and either get the second shield or get this Scizor very, very low. We don't want to swap out of this lead because Bullet Punch Scizor does very well against Froslass, and we're unfortunate in that because we let the Iron Head through in this matchup, we actually get farmed down entirely, which means this Scizor has quite a bit of energy. So we're just going to bring in Froslass, we're going to no shield, and Night Slash does big, big damage. We're going to farm down, they get the boost. We just managed to farm down the Scizor. Froslass is essentially dead in the water, so all we have is Shiftry and a shield advantage. They've got Dragalge and Detonate in the back, so there is a chance to sweep this with them shields down. Foul Play does roughly half, and we decide to throw both as soon as we get to 2 because we know it'll knock out Dragalge straight away, so we don't have to shield a move at all. If they just threw an Aqua Tail, we would have been fine, but we need to land 2 Leaf Blades against Detonate, and we needed a shield for this matchup because although we resist the electric moves, we will be knocked out by a Play Rough, and this Detonate has a lot of energy. We call the discharge. It doesn't take us out. We're going to get to the next Leaf Blade. We're going to take them out and take the win. Shiftry is going to mop up that game. No sweat. 1 HP and a dream. GG. There was a chance that we could have shielded the discharge and still been fine, but I really thought that they might have made it to a play rough. Thundershock is very fast for energy generation, and I thought it's better gambling on surviving the discharge than it is gambling that they'd make it to a play rough. Next opponent is leading Sableye, and this isn't a terrible lead for us. It can go toe-to-toe with Azumarill for sure, especially if it's XL and it's got the return. We decide to shield up, and we do shield the return, which is a huge call. In this matchup, we're just going to throw the Ice Beam straight away. We figure if they're staying in and they're throwing return, they'll probably shield whatever we throw as well if they want to play this matchup out. And now we're going to go for the play rough. They make a fantastic catch onto their Azumarill, which is quite a big waste of this much energy from an Azumarill, because we're just going to bring in Shiftry and we'd still have to land 2 Leaf Blades. So we're not in a better position for having thrown a play rough. If you're in this matchup and someone swaps an Azumarill in, you just want to swap straight to Shiftry. Don't throw any energy at the Azumarill. You're going to have to land 2 Leaf Blades either way. So we get the first one through. We're going to build up as much energy as we can before they get to another move. Throw this Leaf Blade, see what the opponent wants to do. If they shield, we can throw another Leaf Blade. They don't, they let it go. We've got energy to throw straight away at the Sableye. Leaf Blade and Foul Play from Shiftry do the same amount of damage in neutral situations. Remember this, Leaf Blade is much more energy efficient than Foul Play. So even though it's less energy, if it's against something like a Sableye where both moves are going to hit for neutral damage, Leaf Blade is the better move because it will do the same amount of damage. If one's resisted, don't throw that. If one's super effective, definitely throw that one. And also, you might have noticed we led an Ice Beam through on Shiftry, and that's because Shiftry can survive an Ice Beam. It can't survive a play rough, but the Azumarill only threw 5 bubbles, so we knew it was an Ice Beam. If it had been a play rough, we would have shielded up to potentially not get knocked out in one hit, but you can take the Ice Beam and the bubbles if you've got a relatively good PvP IVs Shiftry that's got some bulk to it. Alright, Dedenne lead, and we're going to safe swap Shiftry in this match, and I disagree with this choice after the fact. Realistically, you want to safe swap Froslass because Shiftry has a better matchup overall with Dedenne, so you want to line that matchup later on in the game if you can. Froslass does okay and can threaten big damage with the avalanches and stuff, but I do believe Shiftry is the stronger option overall. So they bring in Nidoqueen, which is a pretty hard punish to Shiftry. Unless you get to 2 Leaf Blades, you're not going to threaten to knock them out, even if it's a Shadow. We're just going to take this energy now, farm down entirely with Froslass, get a massive energy lead, and that's going to let us threaten pretty much whatever's in the back, because Froslass with energy is terrifying to pretty much everything in the Great League. And a lot of the very few choices that can survive an onslaught of like moves from Froslass aren't allowed in this meta. Probably the only thing that Froslass really has to be absolutely terrified of in this meta is probably Umbreon, because it's bulky enough to take 2 avalanches and it's hitting you for super effective damage. So we throw an avalanche at the Mandibuzz. We're going to swap to Azumarill, bait out the Dedenne, threaten with a lot of energy. We get the first shield out of Dedenne. We're not going to shield Azumarill. We might. No, we're going to let it go. Yeah, we're going to completely let this go. Count on 2 shield Froslass to sweep this game. We've still got so much energy. We're going to shield this discharge, build up even more energy since they've just spent some more of theirs. We're going to be pretty much at 100 energy here. We're at like 95 energy-ish, just shy of the 100. We're going to throw back-to-back avalanches since we get the last shield out of them, because we know now we've got 1 shield left. We can shield at 1 foul play. We will make it to an avalanche because this Mandibuzz was pretty much energy dry since we managed to catch the move. And we're going to be able to take them out and take this win. Very good game to the opponent here. If we had have safe swapped Froslass, the opponent would have been in a much tougher position to handle Froslass, because Nidoqueen and Mandibuzz struggle a little bit with Froslass's ice damage output. But also, Shiftry staying away from Mandibuzz was a good shout, because Mandibuzz absolutely walls Shiftry, so it was pretty much dead weight not catching the Dedenne. So ending up tool shielding Froslass really was the best play overall. Matchup 4, and we get a Toxicroak lead, and this is a bit of an iffy lead. Toxicroak can be tough to handle for a lot of teams. It's a great core breaker in this cup, having access to Mud Bomb, Sludge Bomb, and Counter. What a great moveset overall. Counter's a fantastic fast move, and plus it's stab. So you can see Counter just even adds up against something as bulky and resisting as Azumarill. And if you get baited with mud bombs in this matchup, it's absolutely horrendous for you because they run away energy-wise so fast. They're going to swap out into Drapion, and I was a little bit stuck on what to do in this moment because we're actually behind on shields now. They got both shields out of us with the Toxicroak, and we're thinking about what to swap out to because it's poison type, so it'll do well against Shiftry, but it's dark type, so it'll do well against Froslass. We're feeling a little trapped by the shield advantage Drapion, and it's actually a pretty good core breaker for this team. But we're going to just come in here with Froslass. We can survive one crunch. They're not going to be able to farm us down with that fast move damage, so we're going to get an avalanche off. See if they want to shield. They don't, they let it go. We're almost at another avalanche, so we're going to get to it before this Galvantula farms us down. But realistically, Galvantula is going to absolutely wreck through the rest of our team. A lunge is going to one-shot Shiftry, and one Volt Switch is going to knock out Azumarill, so there's nothing we can do at this point unless we try to catch an Azumarill. The switch timer wasn't quite up. We're going to get taken out by this lunge, and that's going to be a good game. GG's. There really wasn't a whole lot we could do against that team as a whole. Shiftry really didn't have much play against that line. The Pokemon it had most play against was Galvantula, and even that's not a particularly good matchup, even if you've got a shield to spare. Alright, matchup 5, Crawdaunt. This is nice and spicy. Crawdaunt hits like an absolute truck. Water and dark typing, so similar to the Greninja vibes. It's got a decent moveset, I believe, and is one of the few Pokemon that has access to Crab Hammer, which is a pretty solid move in general for PvP, but there just aren't many Pokemon that have access to it with the right kind of stats and build to really utilize that much in PvP currently. But Crawdaunt's a nice choice for sure, and is quite a unique typing in this cup. But like I said, Greninja does fulfill a very similar role. They're going to swap out into Azumarill and bait out our Shiftry, and they're going to shield one of our Leaf Blades. And what this allows us to do is shield up the play rough, and now we can get to way more energy. We're going to build up to 100 because we can throw this Leaf Blade. If they shield, we'll throw another one straight away, knock them out before they can throw a move. They don't, they let it go. But this means that we can just now throw Leaf Blades into this Crawdaunt because Crab Hammer hits hard, but it's resisted. It's not going to KO us. We can throw, we've either got 1 or 2 Leaf Blades here. I think we might have 2 actually to shield this, which they do. We can throw another one straight away. Shiftry is absolutely chaotic if it gets a good matchup and gets that energy lead. Takes out the Crawdaunt as well. There's Nidoqueen in the back. We can bring in a Azumarill, and we're just going to want them to throw their energy so they can't get to an Earth Power against Froslass, because I don't think it'd KO, but it might get us pretty low. I'm going to throw this Ice Beam. Not really a need to. We can just swap into Froslass and get to an Avalanche, but that guarantees we can just farm down with Powder Snow and take the win. GG. So we start off with a 4-1, which honestly was better than I expected this team to do. It felt a little bit unbalanced. It's quite weak to poison types in the lead. And Shiftry, I thought, I like Shiftry and wanted to show it off, but I didn't think it had as much play as it actually is ending up doing in these matchups. Moving straight into the next set though, and we've got a Shadow Shiny Scizor on the lead. That's a fantastic flex, beautiful shiny from this trainer here. And we've learnt our lesson from the previous Shadow Scizor against Azumarill. It's worth shielding the Iron Head, so you can definitely get 2 moves off. They do throw the Iron Head, so very happy with that shield. And now we're going to go ahead and throw the Ice Beam, hopefully get one shield at least out of this Scizor, and then we're going to throw the Play Rough, I believe, just for slight. No, we're going to just go for the Ice Beam. There's no need to throw the Play Rough. The Ice Beam would be enough to either get them very low or take them out at this range. And we get the second shield, which we're very happy with, and now we're bubbling them down to being quite low at this point. We're going to let this move go. If it's Iron Head, it knocks us out. If it's Night Slash, it's not. It doesn't take us out. We're going to have to dump more energy into us to finish us off. Is this going to be the Night Slash or the Iron Head? It is the Iron Head, but now it's very low. And they actually swap straight out into Dragalge, giving up switch advantage. And this is not a good Pokemon to swap. Shields down into Froslass, go straight for the Avalanche, wipe them out, bang, Dragalge's out of there. What have they got in the back? The Scizor comes in and attempts to do some damage. We found them down, we've got an energy lead, and they've got Golbat in the back, so Froslass was definitely going to sweep that game. Shiftry would not have had any play against that Golbat, but Froslass with a shield can just run away with some matchups if you don't have an answer left for it. Alright, next matchup, Escavalier on the lead. And Escavalier, again, quite a unique typing in being Bug, Steel, but also having that counter fast move damage. It's got very unique coverage in things that it can handle well. It does well with the poison types, having access to Draw Run, as well as the Steel typing to resist poison damage itself. And the main thing here is that we want to keep it away from Shiftry, because Shiftry gets absolutely mincemeated by Escavalier. At the range it's at now, one foul player would take it out, but also we don't really want to have to put Shiftry in that position to take that much counter damage just to get to a foul play. But we're not going to shield Azumarill, we're going to just get them very, very low. We've got a shield advantage. Are they going to farm us down? They are. That's quite unfortunate. We're going to bring in Froslass. Again, a trainer that swaps out aggressively after taking switch advantage. They're going to bring in Drapion. I'm actually going to stick in here with Froslass, shield this crunch, build up a bit more energy as close as we can to then get into another move and then throw an avalanche. Are they going to let this through? Are they going to go down? They let it go through and we take them out. What are they going to bring in now? They're going to bring the Escavalier back in, and are we going to be able to farm them down like we did in the last matchup? No, they bring in Sableye. And what we should do here right now, actually, before we throw this avalanche, before we build up any energy, we should have swapped straight to Shiftry, because Shiftry does well against Sableye because they have to land a return or something like a power gem to actually really threaten Shiftry. They actually go for a combo play, get our shield, bring in Escavalier, throw a move there as well, take out the Froslass. But what this means is we can actually farm down with Snarl against the Escav, and we should be able to get to 2 foul plays to take out this Sableye. They did throw their energy straight away, so they were energy dry, and it does take them quite a while to get to that return. So they're not going to be able to knock us out. We're going to get to double Leaf Blade, take them out, and take the win. GG. Well, like we said, we should have. As soon as we saw the Sableye, they were locked in there for a while. We should have swapped straight to Shiftry then and got ahead on energy that we could have dumped into the Escav if they did swap it in aggressively or something, just to stay ahead of the curve in that matchup a bit more comfortably. Now, you might notice that we're not actually doing a great deal of save swapping in these matchups, and that's because we keep catching a lot of leads that Shiftry struggles with quite heavily, because as we've said, it's not the most balanced team overall, so we're not really getting much chance to show off these Pokemon's ability as a save swap. But Froslass and Shiftry in general are both very strong save swaps. Froslass more so than Shiftry in this meta, I would say, just because there's a lot more poison types floating around in the Halloween Cup meta. But against this Froslass lead, we're going to stay in with Azumarill because we're resisting the Powder Snows. We can probably not take another Shadow Ball. One Shadow Ball's fine, but then the Powder Snows really do start adding up and they do start getting you quite low. I think at this point, we're going to let it go, I think. Yeah. No, we're going to shield up with another Shadow Ball. So are we going to get this play rough off? The opponent goes into a Mawile, and we have to swap into Froslass because we need to make it to a Shadow Ball to do big damage here. Realistically, Azumarill is our best answer to Mawile, but we're pretty low. We didn't want to get farmed down, so we wanted to get into Froslass as fast as we could, get to this Shadow Ball as fast as we could, do the big damage. We're just able to take them out because the shield's down. Thank the Lord, because Mawile can absolutely run through both Froslass and Shiftry. Pretty much if it's just got one shield, that's all it needs. It can just run through both of them. So we're able to take out the Mawile, we take out the Froslass. They've got an Umbreon in the back, and again, Umbreon is a pretty solid matchup for Shiftry, just because you resist the Snarls, you resist the foul plays. If they've got Psychic, you resist that. They got Last Resort, it does decent damage, but I believe they have to land 2 to knock you out, maybe 3 depending on IVs in the matchup. But they're going to surrender when they see the Shiftry. They know they've lost. We only had to get to 2 Leaf Blades because we got lucky being able to land the play rough just on the CMP tie. And that's going to give us the win, GG. Alright, next matchup, Scrafty lead. This means it's an obvious win, right? Azumarill against Scrafty, very dominating matchup. But they swap out to an XL Alolan Grimer. And I, like a fool, stay in with Azumarill and throw an Ice Beam because I'm not sure what to do. I panic a little bit. I'm not sure what the best course of action in this situation actually is. And honestly, what we really should have done is swap straight into Froslass, go for avalanches, and probably force a shield advantage out of this opponent. That seems like it might have been the best play. I don't think an avalanche one-shots Alolan Grimer, but those Powder Snows would add up, and we probably would get a shield advantage out of him at least in this situation, which we still decide to take. But at this point, we've taken a bit of a beating on Azumarill, and we're going to take more of a beating farming them down because both Shiftry and Azumarill are weak against this poison fast move damage, which is really starting to add up. So we're just hoping that Azumarill, with energy, can still kind of control this game. They've got a Nidoqueen in the back, which for one thing we should have thrown an Ice Beam against anyway to probably force the last shield. We get a Lag Spike after swapping into Shiftry, which we swapped Shiftry into a Shadow Nidoqueen, which is also an absolutely insane thing to do. But what Shiftry has no play against a Shiftry, against a Scrafty and a Nidoqueen. Shiftry's got nothing that it can do for itself at this point, and our only hope is to farm down this Scrafty, get to 2 Ice Beams against this Nidoqueen, but we're going to have to shield this move because it's going to knock us out because they got so much energy from farming down the Shiftry. So against a Scrafty lead, against our Azumarill, we're going to get absolutely smashed to pieces because they're going to be able to shield this up and then just farm us down and take the win. GG. Definitely should have swapped straight to Froslass, and although Grimer gets to Crunch slightly faster than Froslass gets to Avalanche, you can survive one move, whereas over time I don't think they can take one Avalanche and all the Powder Snows, so I think you can force that matchup possibly, depending on how much the Poison Jabs add up, but I think it would have put us in a better position overall, and maybe Azumarill would have been a bit less beaten down. But again, that was a team that Shiftry had absolutely zero play against. Counters from Scrafty, Poison Jabs from Grimer and from Nidoqueen. Shiftry was just going to get absolutely mincemeated in that game no matter what. It was going to get absolutely smashed to pieces. And in this matchup, we've actually got a Shadow Sableye on the opposing lead, which means we don't have to worry about a return, but it does mean that Power Gem does do a decent chunk of damage. The Shadow Claws add up faster than they normally would because of the boosted damage, so we're going to take a 2 shield advantage and then swap out into Froslass, because Shiftry, as we said, is a slightly better answer to Sableye, but we want to see what a shield advantage Froslass can do. The opponent swaps out into Greninja, which actually resists everything from Froslass because it's got the water and the dark typing, so it resists the ice and the ghost moves. We actually see him. Was that CMP tie? Does Greninja win CMP tie against Froslass? Well, we let it go. Either way, we decide, okay then, we'll take an energy advantage. With Shiftry instead, we'll take whatever move this is, build up some more energy, take out this Greninja with a Leaf Blade, and then see if we can just sweep with all this energy. We misjudge how fast Greninja gets to these moves, so now we're going to have to use a shield. So now we don't have shield advantage, we don't have switch advantage, all we've got is a half-health Shiftry and a boatload of energy, which we're going to spend some on the Greninja. What are they going to bring in next? I believe their Sableye was fairly energy dry, so we'll have to see. They bring in an Alola Marowak. They try to catch on the Sableye, so we decide to build up a couple more Snarls worth of energy, basically back up to 100 energy, close as we can get. And now we need to get to 2 foul plays to take out this Marowak, but they sneak a foul Fire Spin through, so we have to swap to Azumarill to catch the Fire Spin damage that was going to come through from that fast move. We have to transfer it to Azumarill. They throw a Shadow Bone to take out Azumarill, and now we have to just get to this Leaf Blade, just to get that last chip of damage to finish them off, take them out, and take the win. 1 HP and a dream from Shiftry. Very close game, very well played. GG to the opponent. Looking back at that last game, there is a glitch that costs us quite heavily. So, when we're throwing a charge move against Greninja with Froslass, we have a 2-turn fast move, they have a 3-turn fast move, but just after throwing the charge move, they get to throw a 3-turn fast move and their charge move before we can throw a 2-turn and our charge move. So it shouldn't come down to CMP tie at all. What it actually should come down to is that we get to our charge move 1 turn first and actually throw it first, but it lets them get that move in and throw ahead of us, which meant we had to give up Froslass and go into quite a disadvantageous situation, which we might have been able to battle out of easier otherwise. And I can't be salty about it because I was still able to win the game, and wins don't really matter that much in this season, but still it's important to highlight that these things do happen, and it is just down to the game. Still, it's down to Niantic, their servers, the way they've built the PvP system, and it does need addressing in terms of serious esport considerations for the game moving forward. Alright, we picked a pretty good time to go on our little point about that, because we did have an Azumarill mirror match at the start of this next game, which just takes forever. Even when you've got play rough, this matchup just drags on and on. So not much interesting to say about this apart from that we're managing to sneak bubbles through and deny their bubbles, which I'm happy with. They're going to farm us down with Nidoqueen, which is a little bit scary, but also it's not a Shadow Nidoqueen, so we know that we can very comfortably survive an Earth Power even if they do throw one, so we're not going to shield the first move. It is the Earth Power, does a big chunk of damage. We've got an energy advantage, and they've got Wormadam in the back. And this isn't a bad matchup for Shiftry just because you resist the psychic damage, and the confusion pressure is one of Wormadam's strongest selling points. The only other thing, however, is that Wormadam has access to bug charge moves. I believe it has access to Bug Buzz, which would definitely one-shot Shiftry with it being double super effective. So we're going to build up quite a bit of energy before we throw in the second foul play. I think we expect them to shield this up, and they do. And now they're going to throw another move, and we're probably going to shield this up as well because we can get to a lot of energy now and be able to really threaten that Nidoqueen, as well as stall out the switch timer a little bit to get Froslass back in against that thing before they get too much energy. So we throw the foul play, big damage. We're going to throw a Leaf Blade straight away at the Nidoqueen as soon as it comes in. This won't take them out, we'll get them pretty low and actually puts them into Powder Snow farm down range potentially, but we're going to throw this just in case, just to get the last shield in case that they did manage to take out Froslass, and then we could get to the next Leaf Blade on Shiftry just to finish them off, just to make sure. GG's to the opponent. Alright, matchup number 3 in this set, and we've got a Dragalge lead. Pretty good lead for Azumarill because not many Dragalges actually run poison moves as charge moves. You often run things like Aqua Tail and Outrage, I believe, and they actually swap out to an Escav to catch the Ice Beam, which we're happy with. We're just going to throw this, and we're probably going to stay in because Azumarill's matchup with Escav is probably the best on the team, and we can line up Froslass with Dragalge later, and the opponent just surrenders out of nowhere. I guess they didn't want to deal with the Azumarill and they just give it up there. GG's anyway. Alright, only a couple of matchups left to show you guys, and on this matchup we've got some lag at the start there in the animation, and we've got a Crustle, which is again pretty solid lead for Azumarill. The bubbles will do super effective damage. You can chip them down a lot faster than they can wear you down. They swap out into Sableye, and we decide to take a shield advantage before we swap out to Shiftry. And we could have swapped straight into Shiftry in this matchup, really, but it's nice to get that shield. Anyway, we do shield a foul play, which is a little bit well played on their part. It's a good bait because the return would do massive damage at that point. But now we can land the Leaf Blade, gets them very low, and we can just farm down this Sableye entirely. We do give up both shields in this matchup, but I do believe it's worth it to maintain alignment and keep Shiftry super healthy, because although Crustle does reasonably well against Shiftry, we've got so much energy we can put a lot of work in here. So this second Leaf Blade is either going to take out the Crustle or get us that shield back. So what are they going to choose to do? They choose to shield it up, and now we get to, oh, they throw at the right time because we were at another Leaf Blade there which would have taken them out. So now all shields down, we've got a Azumarill still locked in here, and we're just going to go for a full bubble down. We should be able to get away with it and come out of this matchup with a lot of energy for whatever they've got in the back. Decide to swap out, and it's a Cofagrigus in the back. So we're going to throw this, and we're going to swap to Froslass and hope we can get to an Avalanche very, very quickly. We're not able to make it. Is this going to be a Shadow? Was that a bit fast for a Shadow Ball? Isn't it 7 Shadow Claws for a Shadow Ball? I don't know if they got there a little faster than they should have, even if they snuck one through on the Azumarill. But either way, they're going to be able to get to another move on Azumarill, take us out, and they have a Cofagrigus sweep. Coffee Boy takes revenge for me calling it that all those videos ago. If you remember that video, shout out to you. And let's take a look at the last match against Handball Nat. I think, no, but there's 2 matchups left. There's this and then 1 matchup after this one. If you're still here, by the way, thank you for watching this video this far. I know that sometimes these longer videos don't appeal to everybody. We get a Forretress lead, which is pretty solid for Azumarill, and it means we can keep it away from Shiftry as well, because Shiftry gets shredded by that bug fast move damage from Forretress. They swap into a Jellicent, which we can punish pretty hard with Shiftry. Shiftry has nothing to worry about in this matchup unless Jellicent has Ice Beam, and even if it does, I believe you can survive 1 Ice Beam same as you can from an Azumarill, but don't hold me to that. If you get one shot by a Jellicent's Ice Beam, I apologise. We're going to be able to get to a foul play against the Forretress with 1 HP, and a Dream does a massive chunk of damage, and they don't get that much farm, which is pretty ideal for us. And you could see just how fast that Bug Bite shredded Shiftry down. It really does have to worry about bug damage in general being double weak to it. Now, we're not going to shield up any moves from Forretress against Azumarill, because even if it's the Earthquake, which I believe is its hardest hitting move it has access to, that's still probably not even going to do half. It might do roughly half of Azumarill's health, but we can definitely take 1. So we're not very stressed. We're just going to take these moves all day long, because at this point, if they manage to one-shot us with something, we'll just farm down with Froslass anyway and see what they've got in the back, take our shield advantage and hopefully sweep anyway. And it's an Obstagoon, so we've got our 2 shield advantage, and Obstagoon would be quite a big problem for Froslass, but with 2 shields, we're not looking that bad at all. We can just land double Avalanche, and We might shield the next Night Slash that they throw just to be safe. It's probably the hardest hitting move left, although the Forretress might have access to Mirror Shot still, which would hit us reasonably hard. Yeah, we're going to let the Night Slash through, and then we're going to build up a bit more energy because we know we've got time to. We actually want to try and get to double Avalanche here, or just farm down the Obstagoon and then just throw this straight away at the Forretress. Yeah, I was going to throw the Shadow Ball. Bit overkill, but it gets the job done, and it's going to give us that win. GG to the opponent. Alright, so now it's time for the last matchup. Thank you guys again for watching this far in the video. If you're enjoying the content, hit the like button, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and let's just jump straight into the last matchup. So on the lead, Scrafty. You know this is an omen of doom because it's such a positive matchup. They swap out into a Charm, a low and Ninetales, and this is surprisingly difficult for my team to deal with. Shiftry gets absolutely melted by a Charm, a low and Ninetales, and it resists the ice damage from Froslass, and you can't one-shot it with one Shadow Ball. So we're in quite a tough position. We have to throw a move to weaken, soften it up a little bit, and then bring in the Froslass to ideally then take them out with an Avalanche, and hopefully control switch advantage and keep Azumarill against the Scrafty. They bring the Scrafty in, they're going to farm us down for some decent energy. In fact, they probably have to throw a foul play. We're not quite low enough for them to farm us down, and these Avalanches are going to really start shredding this Scrafty here. We actually get to another Avalanche. Not sure if they lagged or if they just got cocky with how much energy they thought that we had. Take out the Scrafty, and they're going to double shield a Clefable in the back. This is kind of scary. We're not sure what to do. We decide we're better off bringing in Azumarill, because otherwise it'll charm down the Shiftry, get even more energy, and potentially have two charge moves to throw, because it does have access to Meteor Mash, which it gets to relatively quickly for a Charmer. Not as fast as a low and Ninetales gets to Weather Ball, obviously, but it's still pretty scary. We're going to throw the Ice Beam. Can we get a shield out of them? We do. They sneak a Charm through though, but we're just able to make it to this Ice Beam. We should have thrown the Play Rough, since we could throw only one of the two, and Play Rough hits harder, but it doesn't matter. We get Charm down, Shiftry comes in, we still need two Leaf Blades. You might think, yeah, but it's got 50% health, Leaf Blade hits for 45% of health on a Clefable. I did check the numbers after this game, because I didn't throw when I could have, and I would have won CMP tie, but it wouldn't have been enough. So thanks guys for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.